Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for a movie spoiler review. And I just came back from seeing the Super Mario Brothers movie, the 2023 version. Haven't watched the what was the late 80s, early 90s? I'm pretty sure it was early 90s movie. I haven't, you know, I've seen it as a kid, I haven't revisited in a long time. I think I should at some point in the future. But yeah, I've been avoiding this movie. I feel like I'll wait till it's streaming and then I'll watch it then. But yeah, then I feel like you know what, treat it fairly and just go to see it. And I was like, okay, this is go see it. So I went to see it. It is good. You know, I didn't expect it to be a train wreck. Don't get me wrong. My biggest issue is that you're no pun intended, the developers and writers and directors and studio, they all like super, well, maybe primarily studios, primarily relying on star power rather than just relying on uh the name recognition of Super Mario. It's, like, there's properties that by itself is gonna make buttloads of money, irregardless. Now, it's kind of like Super Mario, Pokemon, Looney Tunes, Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. Just off the top of my head, those or like Zelda, Metroid. There's certain properties, maybe not Metroid, but this is depending on who you ask. But there's certain properties that's just by name, you can always count on you making your money back indefinitely. So it's like, if they didn't have all this, like, Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Pratt, Charlie Day, etc., if they just went with just voice actors in general who, like, it's their primary job, because not saying like actors can do both live and voice acting, they're all actors. But if your primary work is, the bulk of it is live on camera stuff and little voiceover, then you should go to the ones that the bulk of their work is voice acting. It's like, Tara Strong, one of the greatest voice actors, to this day. Primarily, her bulk of her work is voiceover. Is like, a few things. I won't say a few, but at least a handful of things she's probably done. Actual, like, on camera stuff. It's two I can think of. One's like a Christmas Hallmark thing, which, now I'm thinking about it, I really want to do a review on this Christmas, because man, there's a scene with her that she just like did some wild stuff, and it's like a Hallmark Christmas thing. But I don't want to deviate, but it's something I really want to talk about. But and then there's this TV show she did that I saw on Amazon Prime several months ago. I forgot. She played some kind of like drug kingpin type of lady. I forgot what it's all about. It's some Canadian thing. But it's just that, if you just rely on just regular voice acting, you'll still probably, because right now currently as we speak, it raked in $888 million, probably going to reach to the billions. And I imagine it was gonna do that irregardless of somebody like Chris Pratt or Charlie Day. And not to say like these actors aren't good actors, they are. But the studio is just, my beef is the studio is like so reliant on making sure, like, they want guarantees. And of course, in this business to make money. Nobody's knocking them for that, but it's just like you got one of the biggest properties in the world. Just like with Detective Pikachu. Honestly, if it's just one or two like A-list actors involved, that's not a big deal. You got like, Watanabe as this police captain, and you got Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu. And of course you got like Bill Nye as like the spoilers, the main villain. But it's just like, you got Justin Smith, who you seen in that Jurassic Fallen Kingdom, whatever which one it was, and all he does is doing the book of his, woke kids screaming. But you didn't know who Justin Smith was until maybe after Detective Pikachu. And it's just that the over-reliance on A-listers is just like, sometimes it might bog down the movie, in my opinion. It's not like the MCU, or even like the MCU, to its credit, most of their people they had started out not very known. Iman Vellani, who plays Miss Marvel, prior to the show, you didn't really know who she was. Now she's, rising star. Same thing with like Elizabeth Olsen, Scarlet Witch. You didn't know who she was before she was casted in Avengers 2, but now she's A-list star. Really overpeaked even her sisters, Mary-Kate and Ashley. Chris Hemsworth, you didn't know him from Adam, prior to Thor, except for maybe Cabin in the Woods, or was it Cabin in the Woods, or Last Cabin, something Cabin, prior to that. So it's like, Mark Ruffalo, he acted stuff here and there, but he catapulted really high after they recasted Edward Norton with him for the Hulk. It just said, they could have done something like that, give, if not well-known voice actors, or just up-and-coming actors, so that way, because people was concerned about, are you going to do like an Italian accent? I wasn't expecting, no, don't do no stereotypical Italian accent. Of course, they did a little bit in here. It's like a promo to a commercial thing, and they, placated a little bit of that. But it's just like, we wasn't, at least I definitely wasn't, and people I talked to definitely wasn't expecting some stereotypical Italian accent. No, that'd be crazy. Don't do that. But one, it'll have been cool. Either it'll have been cool just to cast an actor who has some Italian heritage, because it's plenty of Italian, like Sly Stallone is Italian, but he doesn't do no thick Italian accent. He doesn't do no, and God help me, is the amount of Mamma Mia's I heard through this. It's like, okay, we get it, you're Italian. I mean, some people might not have been bothered by that. What I was really bothered by is like the amount of slow-mo stuff that was involved in this. It's like, it's like, why is it so much slow-mo? But it just, that was my biggest issue. And it's like, hey, Chris Pratt, at this point, I mean, he's supposed to be like the everyman kind of dude. And it's like his character in Onward and the character in the Lego movie was perfect fits for him, because they're not existing properties. They can be molded into whoever actor you want for the part. Chris Pratt has the voice for it. So of course you can just, when you look at that Onward person, and it's like, that's not original property. So of course, yeah, cast Chris Pratt, no problem. Like Emmett, perfect. This is like an original character in a world that has all these existing properties. But it's just like, I don't know. It's just like the over reliance on the A-list. It's like, it's not like on camera work where like they constantly take off their mask or helmet so you can see their faces and everything like that. where you gotta rely on their face to guarantee butts and seats if you like this Star-Lord character, but you don't see their faces. So you have to rely on the character. Yeah, it's like, I just hope people don't think like, oh, it's because of Chris Pratt, that's why we got nearly $1 billion in the box office. No, it's the fact that it's a Super Mario movie. It will, like I said, you're gonna probably get that. And here's another thing: they probably, relied on these A-list actors because they don't want to repeat from the early '90s version of the movie, live action movie. But at that time, I argue, people in the writers' room back in the day didn't have that much reverence for video games in general, let alone Super Mario, to give it the justice it deserves. Unlike now, with people around my age or slightly older who were little kids at that time are in the driver's seat, and now can make a one-to-one authentic Mario movie, just like with the Mortal Kombat rebooted movie, which fairly recently just announced that they're going ahead for with the sequel. People who back in the day when the first two Mortal Kombat movies came out in the 90s, people in the writers' room did not have any reverence for the material that they're bringing to the big screen. But now people around my age are in the driver's seat. Now we got, say what you will about the movie, you can take out the main character, Cole Young, nobody gives a crap about him, but everything else I'm down for, because it's gory like it needs to be. It has the callbacks, and everything like that. It has some reverence, and they didn't have to rely on A-list actors. You primarily have, people you probably recognize in other properties, like the guy who plays Jax, you've seen in Supergirl, but I honestly never seen him in anything beyond that. I'm pretty sure he acted in other stuff, but I only seen him from Supergirl. And the guy who plays Saint Son, he was in, the Dark Knight movie as the accountant guy. But, beyond that, I haven't seen him in anything else. Everybody else is fairly, new faces to me. So I mean, that's what made it work. It's not, it's not like, oh, you casted Mark Ruffalo as Kano, and it's like, sure, he could probably make that work, but it's just like all you see is Mark Ruffalo playing a role, and you don't see the actual character. Same thing as I feel like, with the Wednesday TV show, I cannot see Morticia. All I see is Catherine Zeta-Jones playing Morticia, and some actors can blend in into the role. It just depends on the caliber of the actor, but it's just sometimes your A-list stardom can backfire on you. It's hard for people who can. It's just like with Christopher Reeve's Superman, or anybody who ever played Superman before. It's just like, if little known or not known at all, you can perfectly blend into the character, because I never knew Henry Cavill prior to Superman, so all I saw was Superman. Same thing with Christopher Reeve. All I saw was like Superman. Yeah, even though I did the review on Hall Pass where Tyler Hoechlin has like a short role in that, I didn't even recognize until I rewatched that movie that, oh, that's Superman. But Hall Pass aside, I didn't put two and two together and see like, oh, that's Tyler Hoechlin playing Superman. No, all I saw was Superman. So that's how I felt like when it comes to this movie. Like, they should have gotten some, not so known or lesser known actors involved, so that way, we can not have to think about with the whole controversy of Chris Pratt, and which is very weird. In the trailers, we hear very little on Chris Pratt's voice, and I think they did that intentionally because they wanted to guarantee that you actually go see for yourself to guarantee the ticket sales. I was like, that's not. It's very strategic. I was talking with this my friends. It's like you notice that in the trailers, like you barely hear Chris Pratt's vocal performance as Mario in the trailers. And I was like, oh, Mushroom Kingdom, here it come. That's all you get, or screaming. Oh, oh, oh. That's all you got from the trailers. And I was like, oh, we gotta make sure they guarantee, like, whether they love it or hate it, they gotta make sure we go see this to hear the entirety of his performance and stuff like that. And it's like, it's very strategic, and it's like they did that very intentionally. But anyway, I'm going off tangent. I just thought I can lay my feelings out right from the jump with you guys, because like I said, this movie's not bad at all. It is a good movie, but I just gotta lay out my grievances. Why, like, the drowning in A-list actors is kind of like can be a backfire sometime. Anyway, the movie starts out with Luigi and Mario trying to start their own little plumbing company, but it's like a startup essentially, trying to they're starting to start a new business, but it's rough. They're trying to get clients, and when they hired, they kind of bungled the job because of the dog, the customer's dog, and they're not getting, aside from the mom, they're not getting much support from the father or the uncles or anybody in the family. And especially when the father kind of puts down Mario. It's like, you're gonna drag your brother down with you, kind of situation, instead of believing in his dream of becoming like like having like a plumbing business. He wants to be that's what he wants to do. That's his dream. And it's not that dude dissimilar. It's like, to a lot of, how many people, even if, especially there's a lot of stories with actors who have like parents or family members who didn't believe in them, kind of like Michael B. Jordan, just not too long ago, when he was on the red carpet of Creed 3, that the person interviewing him, I'm not sure if it was her or the person she worked with that went to school with Michael B. Jordan, and called him corny back in the day, because he got headshots and everything like that, and he had like a dream of becoming like an actor, and they kind of clowned him at that time. And it's like, how many actors had that kind of struggle? It doesn't have to be acting, it's just any dream that you have. And it's like, people want to be there at your inauguration, but they don't want to be there with you when you shaking hands and kissing babies. There's a lot of people with stories like that. So there's a good plot with Mario. I really like that part. So there was this massive pipe bursting and plumbing situation in Brooklyn, and Mario thought him and his brother can seize the opportunity and become famous and increase their business if they manage to fix the problem. So they go down to the sewer system and ends up in this walled off area where this unknown like how this even got here, or how it was built, or when it was built, this mysterious green pipe that sucks the brothers in to the world of the I never know what they call the entire world of the Mario game. It's just certain sections that you call like the Mushroom Kingdom, the Darklands, and Dark Donkey Kong Jungle, you know, they all got their own little sections that they named, but like the world at large was like I never even know that what they called it. We just called it Super Mario World all through our lives. But they get sucked through the world. The brothers get separated. Luigi ends up in the Darklands, eventually gets captured by Bowser and his cronies, and Mario meets up with Toad, voiced by oh, I didn't even bring up like the actors. I did, but you know, as a formality. It's directed by Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelenic, and Chris Pratt voices Mario, Anya Taylor-Joy, Princess Peach, Charlie Day, Luigi, Jack Black, Bowser, Keegan-Michael Key, Toad, Seth Rogen, Donkey Kong, Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong, Sebastian Maniscalco as Spike, and Kevin Michael Richardson as Kamek. So Mario and Toad go to the Princess Peach's castle, and now thinking about it, have we ever, I like to think we did it one of the earliest Mario games, that we actually see like the king of the Mushroom Kingdom, because if they haven't really established there's an actual king after all these years, then shouldn't it be Queen Peach instead of Princess Peach? I know it's got to get the synergy with the PPs, but it's just like, gotta make it a Queen Peach, shouldn't it? Because there's no king or queen that's her parents. Anyway, Peach and her advisors are breaking down like at a war table, because Bowser is seizing territory, because his ultimate goal is to marry Princess Peach because he has a thing for her, and he acquired a superstar to, you know, as like a, you know, like a key power, you know, that he can wield anytime he wants to, you know, devastating effects. But he also want to win Princess Peach's heart with that. And kudos to like the movie, because they do, you know, harken to the games. If you ever played any Super Mario game in the past, you know, 50 years, you know, you got the Mario Karts, the Smash Brothers type of thing, you know, the Donkey Kong barrel tossing thing. I kind of wish they threw in like the Mario Party stuff, because I actually do love the Mario Party games a little bit more than the Mario Karts personally. But I guess that's the whole point with the star. I guess you can say that. And then of course your classic Mario side scroller stuff, and even though all the music, the iconic music from the games, like dinna dinna dinna. Dun 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 dun. Like it's really good. I really love that. I really want to go to those like Mario music parts they have in LA or Japan. Like, you know, if I want to visit LA anytime, is to visit like the Disneyland attractions, the Galaxy's Edge, and the Super Mario Land things. I really want to check those out. It's probably the only reason I probably really want to go to LA, just to see those attractions. Anyhoozle. Mario meets up with Princess Peach, and he beseeches to her like, hey, I need your help into rescuing my brother, and she decides, okay, you come along with me, because I'm planning on going to the Jungle Kingdom to, you know, get an army from Cranky Kong, but I need you to prepare. Now, I want to set this time right now to bring up something that was kind of glaringly kind of one is a problem, one is not so much, depending on who you ask. Peach brings up like, oh wow, you're so short, and it's like, you know, that could be played for laughs. I'm not too fixated on that. I thought it was kind of like an issue. It's like, wow, you just don't know this guy from Adam, but you want to like just make cracks about his height just because you're, you know, taller than him. And it's always a thing because girls like taller guys than them, and there's no wrong with that. It's just their archetypal preference. But it's just like, wow, you just met this guy, you're already insulting this dude. And then, but the second thing, which is probably the more thing that kind of I want to say it's like a problem, but it's kind of like when the other Toads points out as they're leaving, points out like, hey, who's that guy? Oh, he's not important. It's a Super Mario Brothers movie. Now I want to speak on, you know, the biggest problem I have with this movie by the end, but it's something I wanted to throw in right here and now. It's like, excuse me, how you gonna say like the one of the two supposed main leads of this film that's about them, you say, oh, he is not important? Yeah, he is. He's very important. He's crucial. He's supposed to be crucial to the whole entire film. It's like having like a movie about you know, Captain America, Steve Rogers, but then like he meets up with Sharon Carter and everybody asking like, who's that guy? Oh, he's not important. And it's like, what? It's about him, so he has to be important. But then it kind of leads into my big overall issue with the film. Personally, I'm not sure how many of you might agree or even notice this, but I'll bring it up later. But they go off to, oh, before they go off on this adventure, she's trying to train Mario, in, you know, like, you know, to be prepared for what's to come and like the hazards of this world. And of course, you ever play like the, you know, classic Mario games, you know, about like hitting blocks to get certain items to like grow big or get fire powers, or the raccoon suit to fly and blah blah blah. But also about like the bullet bills and the platforms that fall to the ground if you know, stand on it for too long, blah 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 blah. So Mario spent hours trying to go through this obstacle course because Peach went through it in rapid succession in one go without power-ups. And it takes, you know, Mario, which is perfectly fine, like, you know, which I'm gonna bring up, you know, at the end of this review, that Mario shouldn't be perfect at this. He's a fish out of water kind of story here. This is his first time in this world, so he doesn't know about the hazards and how to maneuver around them. And I thought it was a nice touch with him actually not liking mushrooms, but having to use certain mushroom type of items to gain certain abilities. It's kind of like with Smallville with Clark Kent, where in a TV show he's afraid of heights, but of course a guy who will be well known in flying will eventually overcome that hurdle. But of course, even though, you know, after a while he managed to maneuver pretty well through the obstacle course, except for this at the very tail end when he misses out on a particular obstacle. And of course Peach is trying to give him encouragement. It's like, you know, oh well, you didn't really complete it, but you're good enough, so now I'll bring you along. And it's like, I don't know, it kind of makes like you almost make it like Mario kind of like a sucker a little bit. is kind of like you gotta have him, because you see earlier in the first act, as they're going into that, new client and try to fix their problem, you see him like a side scroller in the real world going over these maneuvers like you would play the game ordinarily, and he's going down a flagpole and everything like that very easily. I kind of wish they, after failing so many times, he maneuvers equally as good and get to the flagpole. And it's like, oh wow, he managed to get his wits about him, managed to go through that obstacle course after failing and trying again before he managed to perfect it. And it means so much if he actually perfected it by the end of the training. But I didn't do that. It's like, that's like good enough. No, you need him to be like spot on. What's that saying? Like, close enough only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, something like that. So, Bowser, I gotta say, like, I think everybody would agree that Jack Black and Keegan Michael Key is probably like the best ones when it comes to like their voiceover stuff. They did like the better job, because I don't know, when the casting was announced, it just seems like, okay, Anya Taylor-Joy, she kind of gives the Princess Peach kind of vibes. I'm not sure, is this her petite kind of frame or whatever, or like she just, like the color pink just birthed her or something like that, because she kind of gives Princess Peach kind of vibes. But it's just that Keegan Michael Key and Jack Black have done voiceover more times than the others. So when they were announced, I was like, okay, it kind of makes sense. Jack Black probably, out of all of them, killed it at the role of Bowser, because you can hardly tell it's him sometimes, except the whole glorified, because he's Tenacious D, and he's known for his like rock music. They gotta have Bowser doing all these rock ballads and stuff, because it's it gotta, I don't think it's kind of like really needed. And a lot of people point out how cringy he is sometimes. Like, okay, yes, you gotta have a glorified rock ballad with a Jack Black type of character. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's kind of like, do you really need that kind of stuff? Yes, we get it, it's Jack Black. But Keegan Michael Key, like, these two did very well with actually trying to hide their own natural voice to fit the particular character. Well, Chris Pratt, like I said, perfect for a character like Emmett in the Lego Movie and a character in Onward, because they're not known characters, they're original characters, so you can apply his normal voice to something. Chris Pratt isn't known to do crazy voices. He just does his natural voice, and not that it's a bad thing, but it's just like, take it as how he gives it. So they so he ends up torturing Luigi, trying to get information about Mario, because he's jealous that Mario and Princess Peach might have like a thing together, even though I'm glad they didn't really like harp on that, like give them like a forced romance type of thing. No, that is completely not harped upon, which most other people would lean extra hard into. That, oh, they go on this little adventure to the jungle kingdom to meet Kong, and all of a sudden they spark a romance and blah blah blah. And it's like, no, they're colleagues, they got a job to do, and his priority is his brother, and her priority is her kingdom. That is that. They're colleagues. Just like with like the first Blade movie, there's no forced romance between Blade and that girl. They got a particular objective to do, and they're leaning, that's their priority. I'm super glad with that. I wish more movies do more of that. It's kind of like with also with Frozen. There's no forced the first movie. There's no forced romance between Elsa and some dude or anybody. It's like it really is not necessary. I think like Anna took up the bulk of that. Even then, it turned the typical romance thing on its head. So they made it to the Jungle Kingdom. They meet with Cranky Kong, ask for an army. Even here's the thing: even though Cranky Kong is fully aware about the dangers with Bowser and him going to kingdom and conquering one at a time, he doesn't feel like it behooves him to immediately team up with Princess Peach. He has to force this, melodrama. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna give you my army. And I was like, why not? This guy is conquering land after land, and it's like the other lands, if y'all want to keep your respective kingdoms, you're gonna have to work together to beat back this guy who has devastating power. But he's like, oh, okay, I'll give you my army if you beat my son Donkey Kong. So Mario puts his hat in the ring to challenge Donkey Kong. And of course you got Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, and my god, it's like they end on a joke and it's not even funny, where it's like, just like with like the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers film, direct streaming film on Disney Plus, it feels like, oh, we gotta lean into the obvious meme and joke about Seth Rogen's laugh, and they gotta throw it in there at some point in any movie he is in. And it's like, why? And it's like, we're not pointing out because we actually like it. We're pointing out because it's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of like the opposite of Keanu Reeves' woes. That's like that thing. And it's not no shade on Seth Rogen. I love Seth Rogen. He's very hilarious. I love a lot of movies he's in, a couple of which I reviewed on my YouTube channel. By the way, youtube.com/talkativecarl. Links are in the description. But it's just like, can we not, can we just ignore that? Can we just rely on the fact that he's a great actor and just lean into his skills, not the joke of a laughter he has? Or, exaggerate the laughter? But of course they threw it in, and it's like, I can't but roll my eyes. I'm sorry. But he easily manhandles Mario until he eventually acquires a power-up to finally fight back against Donkey Kong, who's naturally superior in strength compared to Mario. So now that they got the army, they gonna try to ambush Bowser on Rainbow Road, or at least try to go to a location using the Rainbow Road as a shortcut, even though Bowser gets wind of this, so he ambushes the ambush. So now you see this awesome, probably the best scene of the entire film is actually seeing all the Mario Karts on the Rainbow Road doing that thing, and of course you get the blue shell and everything like that. Donkey Kong and Mario fall while most of Cranky Kong's army is captured. And honestly, like in the prison scene, you see that blue star, and it's so like dour with everything, but with that cutesy voice, it made me laugh, and not even going front. It's black like our souls, and it's like that entire character is very, very funny. But Donkey Kong and Mario are trapped inside this eel thing, but they made their escape, and um, they uh, they make their way to the uh, Bowser's castle. While, like I said, I want to talk about it at the end of the film, but Peach and Toad go back to the Mushroom Kingdom, tell people to evacuate. Well, Peach is ready to, take on Bowser herself, but he threatens Toad. She like relents. Okay, like, I'll marry you, just please don't hurt my toads. So she surrenders to save her people, and this wedding occurs with the guests all being classic Mario characters, one of which is King Boo, which I really wanted to see like more of. But thanks to Toad sneaking into her bouquet, an ice flower, where she uses to turn herself into Elsa from Frozen, pretty much, because the whole wedding dress kind of reverts to like a Elsa type of clothing almost, and she starts freezing a lot of enemies and keeping like the prisoners from being sacrificed into the lava, and she freezes Bowser. All the while, Mario swoops in, saves his brother, and Donkey Kong saves his father. And there was a moment in the eel thing, very kind of like Pinocchio trapped in a well kind of scenario, where they don't really lean into this like they probably should be doing, but they both break down why they think, their fathers think they're failures, but it's like there's no moment of camaraderie or understanding. They still bicker till they figure out, oh, Donkey Kong's cart is still here and we can use one of the rocket barrels to get ourselves out. And it's like, you could have taken like at least a couple of minutes where it's like, I'm more than just smashing things. Like, you're right, you are more than smashing things, and like you have a lot to, you're smart and you have a lot more to offer than just your strength. And Donkey Kong can say like, oh well, no, just because you're tinier than me doesn't mean you have don't have more to offer. That kind of thing could have been like really addressed and show some like teamwork between the two, because prior to that there had some kind of like animosity and rivalry. They can still have a rivalry, but it's kind of like they should have like a mutual understanding at this point, which they did not really lean to in the writing. But anyway, they come in and save the prisoners, and Donkey Kong unleashes a giant bullet bill to try to destroy the Princess Peach's land. Mario used the Tanuki suit to fly, divert the bullet into one of the warp tunnels or pipes, and it ended up exploding, midway through, and it causes this massive feedback where Bowser's castle gets sucked into the real world and lands in I would say like most of Brooklyn, but just in that, luckily, that dug out trench area where the flood was happening earlier in the film. So it was all dug out, and now it's like a massive pit. So that's where it lands, but it still has some minor destruction in the streets. So now in the real world, they're taking on Bowser, and Mario, thanks to Peach tossing it to him and Luigi touches the superstar. They become invincible and rip through Bowser's army and take down Bowser. And Bowser's now imprisoned. And now, the family sees this and they praise uh the Mario Brothers, even their former employee who gave them crap earlier in the film is like, yeah, the 3 cheers for the Super Mario Brothers. Like, where's that energy? And like, there was like a very fast, quick 180 on this character who was like, okay, not that he should still be kind of antagonistic, but kind of like that dog, that gave them grief early in the film. He just gives that kind of nod thing. He should do something akin to that. It's like, it's like, you know what? Good job, man. Kind of attitude, not this weird energy he's giving out like he's always been super supportive. Or he had some kind of talking to that now he's like had his new perspective on him. That was kind of like very fast. So now they have like a place in the Mushroom Kingdom, and now they're like, I don't know, they're still plumbers. I don't know what they'll fix in the Mushroom Kingdom, but that's where they at now. Now I want to talk about something that was kind of like the biggest glaring problem to me, and this is what I've been talking about in my, if you saw my discussion video in last month in March, about female leads in pop culture, like video games and movies and stuff like that. And I point out about like trying to make your characters perfect, and it's more so on the onus on Princess Peach. Now, the character I still like the character and what she is given, but it kind of feels like she's doing the bulk of the work, and like Mario and Luigi only take up 10% of the work when it's supposed to have been their movie. They should have been like the main focus, and it kind of feels like our primary focus was on the Princess Peach the whole time. Now, I wouldn't mind that if this was our Princess Peach movie. I mean, I think everybody would have loved to go to a Princess Peach movie. I would have gone to see a Princess Peach movie. Everybody would have gone to see a Princess Peach movie. She's a great female character in pop culture, one of the most iconic. And she has been known to battle in the video games in history. But, she's too perfect. And it's kind of like she shouldn't be the focus. Not like she has to take the back seat per se, or she has to be like, because she's the classic damsel in distress kind of, character-esque. But not necessarily. There's been times you play as Princess Peach through certain of the games, so she's not always the damsel in distress, but she's like the most known. And I understand you want to make sure you steer away from that, but you can have this balance where she has the kingdom to lead. She's, at the war tables, she's sending out troops, she's, leading from the front. That's all well and good, but the primary focus should be on these brothers. Luigi is captured the whole entire time. And yes, I know they're probably going to be making like Luigi's Mansion, because this movie did so well. There's going to be various sequels with like Donkey Kong and Luigi, sure. But for right now, it's called the Super Mario Brothers movie. And we should be focused on Mario and Luigi. And Mario, has been, seem like he's incompetent for the most of the movie. Like I said, he's doing this that attitude, and like he only completed 90% of the obstacle course and not nearly as perfect like it probably should be. Yeah, he's been told like, oh, he's not important earlier in the film, when it's like, yes, he is. And it seems weird to me. There's only a couple people that brought this up from other people who reviewed this movie, but people are so like, oh, we got like a spot on Mario movie. They're not really looking into like the kind of, well, it should be kind of obvious and glaring. It's like, okay, the primary focus we seem to be following is Peach. if it, like I said, if it was a Princess Peach movie, then this would fit. But this is kind of like Luigi is, yeah, he can be a scaredy cat, for most of the time, but he still, when push comes to shove, he can actually put in the work and an effort to fight back. Probably clumsily, here and there, but he still does it. And it seems like, oh, he's spent most of the movie captured until the tail end when he's blocking, using the manhole cover to block Bowser's fire blast. Nice little callback with earlier in the film. He's using like a mirror to block a water gushing towards him and his brother. But and Mario, like I said, being treated like he's incompetent for most of the movie, and it's like he only does stuff here and there, but it's like primarily Peach. She's the one that's leading her troops. She's the one that's surrendering herself to save her people. She's the one that takes on Bowser, and Mario's cleaning up. It's kind of obvious. I'm not sure. I don't know. I find it weird that nobody's even like kind of pointing that out. It doesn't take away. It is still a great movie, but I just want to at least bring that up because it's kind of like, it's kind of like, wow, I really wish they kind of actually make a Super Mario Brothers movie, and have them do the bulk of the work. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you thought of the Super Mario Bros. Movie. I'm pretty sure you've probably seen it by this point. And yeah, and I will see you guys in a few minutes. I got another movie I want to review for you guys, and yeah, I'll see you guys then. Follow me and links in the description below. Share this with your friends, and yeah, take care.